For billions of people, the World Cup is a sacred global ritual. It is a moment where national borders dissolve into a singular, joyful spectacle of unity and superstars lifting a golden trophy under falling confetti. The entity behind this spectacle operates from a glass fortress in Zurich. Despite generating billions, FIFA is registered under Swiss law as a humble public interest nonprofit association. This chart shows the benefit of this classification. In a single World Cup cycle, FIFA generated over $2 billion annually. Their total tax bill across 4 years was only $75 million, a microscopic fraction local politicians have repeatedly tried and failed to increase. By hoarding over $1.5 billion in untaxed reserves, FIFA operates in a permanent regulatory oasis. These billions act as a sovereign shield, insulating the organization's internal mechanics from any meaningful outside scrutiny. On May 27, 2015, the organization's wall of impunity finally cracked. Swiss police, acting for the United States Department of Justice, raided a luxury hotel in Zurich and charged 14 high-ranking officials with racketeering, wire fraud, and money laundering. Chuck Blazer provided the path inside. A suburban soccer administrator who rose to FIFA's executive committee, Blazer was cornered on a Manhattan street by federal agents investigating a decade of unpaid taxes. He was forced to wear a recording device hidden inside a key fob to avoid a life sentence. Blazer's recordings revealed a life of staggering decadence funded by illicit kickbacks. He maintained 2 luxury units on the 49th floor of Trump Tower. One was for his own use. The second, costing $6,000 a month, was reserved exclusively for his cats. U.S. prosecutors used the RICO Act to dismantle this network, employing the same laws used to break the American mafia. Because the conspirators use American banks to route their bribes, the DOJ asserted jurisdiction over the international executive body. The 2015 raid sent individuals to prison, but it left the underlying machine untouched. To understand how this cartel continues to function, we have to look at the specific playbook that governs its survival. FIFA operates on a one association, one vote model. This gives a tiny island nation with no professional league the same voting weight as a global giant like Brazil. By distributing targeted development funds to these smaller associations, leadership secures a permanent, loyal voting bloc. This system of financial leverage matured in 1982 with the creation of International Sport and Leisure, or ISL. The company was established to manage the soaring value of exclusive television broadcast rights. For decades, ISL paid millions in systematic kickbacks to top executives to ensure they held those broadcast rights. When the company collapsed, an investigation revealed that FIFA's own president, João Havelange, and his son-in-law had pocketed $27 million in personal bribes. Internal challenges were crushed with equal efficiency. When a whistleblower produced a 30-page dossier detailing these financial crimes, the executive committee dropped the lawsuits and fired the man who spoke out. In this system, silence and loyalty are the only paths to survival. July 12, 1998, the Stade de France. Ronaldo, the reigning World Sayer of the Year, walked onto the pitch looking pale and detached. Hours earlier, he had suffered a violent convulsive fit. Despite this neurological crisis, team doctors controversially cleared him to play just minutes before kickoff. A Brazilian Senate inquiry later focused on a $160 million contract with Nike. The deal gave the corporation unprecedented control over national team logistics, including a legal mandate that the team's biggest stars, specifically Ronaldo, must play. This contract allowed a multinational corporation to dictate the lineup of a national team. Simultaneously, millions in marketing fees were routed through intermediaries into Swiss bank accounts, serving as personal bribes for the federation's leadership. The 1998 final proved that players had become captive corporate assets. They were no longer treated as athletes, but as commodities used to generate the kickbacks that fund the cartel. FIFA's darkest transactions involved trading the prestige of the game for geopolitical favor. This reached a peak during the 1978 World Cup in Argentina. While fans cheered in the stands, a brutal military junta led by Jorge Rafael Videla was conducting a campaign of state-sponsored terror. The flagship stadium sat less than a 10-minute walk from a clandestine center where political prisoners were tortured and murdered. To secure a 6-0 win and advance to the final, the regime used economic bribes. Argentina shipped 35,000 tons of grain to Peru and unfroze $50 million in assets immediately following the suspicious match. The true cost was paid in human lives. Under Operation Condor, 13 political dissidents were extradited from Peru to Argentina. They were delivered directly to military intelligence, where they were tortured and disappeared. FIFA realized that the game's global reach had a secondary market, providing a veneer of legitimacy to state-sponsored terror. The spectacle of the World Cup became a tool for laundering the reputations of the world's most violent regimes. The legacy of 1978 continues in modern host selections. World Cup bidding has become an open auction, where the currency is human suffering. In 2010, the South African government forcibly evicted thousands of homeless residents to hide the reality of Cape Town's poverty from tourists. They were relocated to temporary relocation areas, bleak rows of corrugated iron boxes fenced off from the public. In Qatar, an exploitative labor system turned migrant workers into modern-day indentured servants. Over 6,500 workers died to build the stadiums for the 2022 World Cup. To avoid paying compensation, Qatari authorities classified the majority of these deaths as natural causes. Healthy young men were routinely listed as dying of acute heart failure, a term used to bypass investigations into their working conditions. This institutional rot filters down to the pitch itself. Elite referees like Byron Moreno, who dictated the outcome of critical tournament matches, were later found with 6 kilograms of heroin strapped to their bodies. It was final proof that every level of the sport, from the construction to the officiating, is vulnerable to illicit finance. These facts reveal a borderless empire protected by Swiss sovereignty and financed by corporate capture. From the concentration camps of 1978 to modern forced labor, the organization uses the beautiful game to maintain a system where lives and integrity are traded for geopolitical leverage. The next time a superstar lifts the trophy under a shower of confetti, ask yourself, how much did that moment truly cost, and whose lives were traded to buy it?